So last week in the beginner's course and in the last set of videos, we were talking about back attacks and back escapes. And that was our 5th week of the course, or the 5th set of videos if you're just watching these videos. So this week in the beginner's course, or in this last set of videos, we're going to go over takedowns. We do takedowns last in the course because, especially I think if you're a beginner, they're the easiest way to get hurt and injured. Because if we're two brand new people that don't know what we're doing, and one guy's going to take the other guy down, and all my weight and all his weight is going to fall on top of me, I could really hurt myself. The main thing, especially which is why we've been doing our warm-ups, is that if my opponent takes me down, I want to be falling safely. So again, if you're just watching these videos and you haven't been in the classes and doing the warm-ups, you want to be practicing your break falls, both your regular break falls, where I just come into a low squat, come back, slap the mat, and also my side break falls, where I come to one side and my arm slaps the mat. Again, that's just to stay safe. I want to be making sure my head's not bouncing off the mat when I get taken down, and also that I'm getting away from that kind of innate reaction, which is to post my arm out when I'm falling. Because again, if all my hands of weight's driving through me and I post my arm through here, I get really hurt in my elbow and my hands. So, bit of a safety tip there. If you've been doing the beginner's course, we've been doing a lot of break falls, and we'll do some side break falls before this class starts. But if you're just watching these videos in your own time, make sure you know how to fall properly and can control your fall. And especially if you're starting and your opponent's learning takedowns for the first time, ask them to finish the takedown in a nice controlled manner before you go into live sparring with takedowns. Because again, it's an easy way to get injured, and if you get injured early on, it's going to be tougher and feel harder to come back from that kind of stuff. It's easier to get that kind of setback early on, and it puts you out of the sport. In terms of takedowns, in terms of the positioning for my takedowns, I want to have a mix of stances here. You'll see in judo, guys will be really tall because I'm not worried about the guy trying to shoot on my legs in judo. So guys will be super tall because they're fighting for upper body grip to do trips and throws and all that kind of stuff. And you'll see very much the opposite in wrestling. Because my opponent can shoot my legs, both guys are super low here to make it harder. Their legs are further back, they're in a split stance, and they're like this. So if the guy starts to shoot on my legs, it's easier for me to post and come back. So in jiu-jitsu, we want a mix of those two kind of stances really, because my opponent can come into judo throws, but also my opponent can shoot on my legs like this. So I want to be able to both stand slightly tall and come slightly low. I don't want to be too low, because obviously I could just be like, oh well, I'm just not going to judo throw him, I'll be super low. If I'm super low, it's easy, for my partner to now pull down on my head and snap me into a front headlock position where he could threaten chokes and submissions, which is going to be still sometimes common in wrestling. Guys will get snapped down into front headlock positions for takedowns, but the guy's not going to try and hit a guillotine or something on me, for example. So I want a stance that kind of is in between those. So I'd be leading with one leg, usually my power leg. I chop at my hips, especially if you're learning this, actually make a chopping motion with your hips to bend through your hips. I don't want to be bending through my back and looking at the floor, because again, if I look at the floor, my opponent's able to pull my head down. If I chop at my hips and come tall, if he does try and pull my head, I've got a bit of strength and I can start to try and fight that position. So usually I'm leading with my power leg, chopping at my hips, my elbows staying nice and tight, and then from here I can come forward, I can come backwards, I can come side to side, I can circle, and like this. You'll see especially wrestlers will do a lot like shadow wrestling, where they'll be doing this, they'll be touching the ground, they'll be doing splits, and they'll be doing shots. So again, you can do that in your own time. You can, anywhere in your house where you've got a bit of space, you can just be like this and move side to side. That'll be the kind of start of our class. We just get used to moving around in that position. Then we'll start talking about some kind of basic concepts of wrestling. Pretty much every takedown I do with my partner is going to be made up of a combination of all 3 of these concepts, which would be my head positioning. So if my head comes low and my partner stays high, it's easy for me to shoot in on their legs. Or in the same vein, if my head's able to control my partner, so I get my head in the side of my hand's neck, I'm able to start pushing them around and controlling the fight, and then using this to again upgrade my position and start being offensive. So the first one's head position. The second one would be like hand fighting. If I control my partner's hands, it's going to be easier to pull in for takedowns. Even if I have 2-on-1s, it's going to be easier again to start setting up positions where I can start shooting. And if my or even simply, if I push his hands out of the way, there's space for me to then change my head position and shoot on my partner. And the last one's going to be working the body, which is overhooks and underhooks. Again, if I get an underhook in my opponent, this is where you'll see guys doing judo throws, stepping past and doing big hip tosses. If I have overhooks, I can step and then come for like ankle picks and other wrestling scenarios. Or even nice and basic ones we're going to look at today. If I control the hand position and get both underhooks, I can just bring it towards me and just walk him backwards until I get into the mat. So all takedowns, regardless of what they are going to be built up of a combination of those positions. My head position, my hand fighting, and the position of my arms, underhooks and overhooks. And my head position includes my changing of levels. It's not just my head in my neck, but my head comes low, changing levels, that's where I start to hit my shot. So our kind of warm-up drills and a mix of getting into those positions and those concepts in our head are going to be first our head position drill, then our head and hands drill, and then our head, hands, and body drill. All right. So our head position drill nearly looks like this kind of dance. We're both going to be in our stance, and we're going to touch our heads together. In jiu-jitsu, you wouldn't actually meet this head position, but you'd still be doing the same idea. This is just to get you used to the feel of it. So I come to my stance, and we would touch heads here like this. And the goal of this drill is both guys are just trying to see if they can get their head into the guy's neck. So again, I can push him around. If he tries to push underneath here, he's not going anywhere. And I'm going to be able to start changing my angles and exposing offensive capabilities. Same thing in my head position. He's going to be matching me. So if my head starts to come low, see he starts to come low, because again, we talked about it a couple times. My head comes low and his doesn't. I'm going to be able to shoot on him or initiate on his legs. So we're going to be keeping our stance. Our heads are going to match. And we're just both going to be moving around here. I'm trying to come low, my partner comes low, I come high. Both guys are just trying to match this and get their head. If he gets his head in my neck, he can start by pushing me around, getting his grips. We'll just reset and come back. So that's our first drill. You just call that like a head position drill. Again, in reality in jiu-jitsu, you wouldn't be matching your heads, but our position would still look like that. We wouldn't be touching heads, but it's the same thing. I'm moving around to here. If Mo starts to come low with his head, I'd be coming low to follow. If he did manage to shoot his head into the side of my neck, he is going to be able to start pushing me here and control my arms, circling towards my back. Which, just like we were talking about in the club last week, in grappling, if he's on my back, it's bad. Doesn't matter if it's on the floor or if he's just behind me in a wrestling. Both those things are bad. The second one will be hand fighting. My goal in this position is to either get like a 2-on-1, if I can show two grips on my partner compared to his one. I'm going to be able to pull him and push him more. Whether it's a double wrist grip or a big popular one in wrestling is an arm drag. So I'd be coming in here and stepping. And again, I'm using this to start setting up grip breaks. Or again, just using his hands, my hands, to push his hands out of the way. To again, make space to step in for underhooks, step in to take shots, all that kind of things. So again, that drill is going to look like this. Both guys are going to be matching the head position. Again, we're still moving with the head position moving, but this time we're both hand fighting as well. Both guys are trying to get control of the other guy's hands. Set up stuff so I can start initiating shots. Alright. For that hand position, a nice tip as well is if I actually hold, a lot of guys will initially hold the guy's wrist. It's very easy for him to circle his hand up from here and grab my wrist or my hand. It's actually a bit better to grab like where his thumb starts to become his hand. If I grab here, it's actually harder for him to get his hand away from us. It's harder for him to circle like this. And often if I'm like this, it's very common, the only way he feels like he can really get away is to circle his hands aggressively away. But again, often that leads for situations where I can pull arm drag, or again, he's giving me a lot of space to step in for underhooks, or change my level and look to shoot. Alright. So we got head position, we got hand position. The last one will be like working the body, which will be like underhooks or overhooks. The first drill we do for this, we kind of like take a quick break, and we do this like swim drill just to get used for like fighting for underhooks. We did a similar drill when we were doing the bottom of side control and top of side control, when we were talking about how important underhooks are. Same thing here. If my opponent gets underhooks on me, I mean, if I get a strong overhook here, maybe I can do some sort of like judo counter. But if he gets a strong underhook on me, he's going to be able to maybe start trying to take my back here. Or you can maybe even start just trying to like do lifts and takedowns from here where you can lift the edges big and strong. So I want to be controlling that inside space. Same way that my hands look to control inside his hands and my head was looking to control inside his head. That gives me a benefit. I want my arms to control inside his arms for a lot of my setups and takedowns. So the first drill we do is this like swim drill. Both guys will just have an underhook, and naturally, if the guy has an underhook on me, I'll have an overhook. I'm going to be swimming my hand on the side he has an overhook to become an underhook. So it's just like I'm doing a front crawl. It's gonna look like this. So we match up. I have an underhook on this side of Mo, and on this side I have an overhook. I'm bringing my hand tight in between our chests through this space and shooting an underhook. All right. At the same time, he's going to be doing the same thing on the other side, where he's doing this. And again, now we're back to the same thing. I have an underhook and an overhook. I'm going to be shooting for an underhook while he shoots on an underhook on this side, like this. And you just kind of start building that speed and doing that split drill. We'll do this a couple times, and then if you're in the class, we would, like, as a warm-up, someone would shout go, and then both guys would be trying to fight at the same time. They have both underhooks and control the guy, like this. And then that's what we're going to mix back in with our head and our hands. So again, a good drill is, again, someone would just be like head position. If you're just matching your head position, moving around, head and hands, we start to try and fight and get 2-on-1s, arm drags, control, this kind of stuff. And then we'll work the body as well. So I'm trying to control, I'm trying to get an underhook. If I start to get 2 underhooks, he's going to refight, try and get an underhook on me. I'm trying to get an underhook on him. I'm still trying to control his head position. And then when I get good at those concepts, then I'm going to start feeding into attack and wrestling positions. All right. So we'll do one quick takedown here, which is our like real kind of like, still works effectively if you can get it in jiu-jitsu, but a very strong takedown for self-defense as well. Because it kind of like, you stay standing the whole time and you land where your partner's in front. You don't have to be really strong or athletic. And you also don't have to like shoot and change a level where if you're new or beginner and you're in a self-defense situation, the guy might really try and punch you in the head or whatever like that, all right? We're gonna start from our kind of like base position, which will work a couple of our takedowns off here. So the first one is we're gonna be here, defend this position. We're gonna go for like a collar tie, which is kind of similar to like a cross face near the bottom position, where my hand on the left is just gonna hold his head. Again, this is similar to like how I fight with my arms and control the position. If I pull down on his head here and he stays here, I could snap it down. If I'm pulling on his head all the time and now he wants to come back up, I can time shots off that as he comes down. So we're gonna be going left hand collar tie, right hand to the wrist or to the hand, anywhere around here. We could be an inside grip we were talking before, or we could be like this. My goal here, again, I'm leading with my power tie, because I want to circle him towards me. So I'm using this collar tie to turn and circle like this. And with my collar tie, quick tip on it, I want my forearm to be like against, running down, pointing towards the floor. So it can not only, I can push him with this, I can pull him, but if he tries to shoot into me here, it's like a frame to help keep him away. If I'm like this, he's just gonna push that off, shoot, and then exactly again. He's getting his head positioned in against me, cutting that angle. He's changing his level. He's starting to like get her under my body. Again, all those concepts means he's gonna start hitting his offensive takedowns on me. So again, I'm in here. I got my left hand on the collar tie, and my forearm snakes in nice and tight here. Makes it difficult for him to defend. My right hand's gonna be finding the wrist. I'm gonna circle him towards his wrist hand side. So I pull back my right foot and I circle like this. I circle you a bit more just so we're back facing the camera. At some point, as I circle, I'm gonna circle and then I'm gonna step back in. As I pull him towards me, I'm gonna step back in and I'm gonna shoot an underhook here. My underhook comes high around the shoulder like this. Now I'm gonna square up my feet, so my left foot's gonna step in, and I'm gonna swim this hand now from a collar tie to also be in an underhook. I'm gonna come chest to chest and connect my hands. When I connect my hands here, I'm connecting like a gable grip, which just means again, my fingers and my thumbs aren't like disconnected where they could bend. I glue my thumb to my finger and then cup it together like that. As if I was gonna, drink from a fountain or splash water on my face, like this, all right? So again, I'm here, I pull the guy in, and this time I step in to meet him, and I let through his wrist up nice and high, and give myself room to shoot an underhook. I don't want to be around his back here. I come really high around the shoulder, so I can lock my elbow in tight. I'm elbow to elbow. With my left hand, I swim through this space, like this. Just like we were doing in that drill. At the same time as I do it, I'm going to square my feet up and come chest to chest. Nice and close, my chin's like on the shoulder, and I can connect my hands. From here, I've kind of got my arms in like his middle back. We're going to start by bringing our arms nice and low, so they're like right across his hip line, like kind of just above his butt, like kind of on his table, like this. and I'm gonna drive forward with my chest, step my legs really close, like this. I'm trying to make him do this like this situation where like I'm trying to pull his hips forward and his shoulders back. So he's doing like this kind of bend. Again, obviously this is like, this looks like some matrix shit. But if I was just to drive, see how that's off balancing him. Obviously he can keep stepping back because there's nothing stopping him. It's kind of really similar to that thing you maybe did in school where like someone would have knelt behind someone like this, and the other guy would have just pushed them on their shoulders. That's the goal here, is to just to get that off balance. And I get that strong off balance by bringing my hands really low here. I'm pulling his hips towards my hips, and I'm driving with my chest and my shoulder, again, to put that kind of like matrix style like bend in his back. At the same time as I do that, I'm gonna bring my legs nice and wide, and I'm gonna start to like walk my feet on the outside of his feet. Again, as I pull his hips in and drive forward like this, I'm gonna walk that like that. His legs will start going in between my legs, and that means it's gonna be very difficult now when I start to come over the top of my legs for him to walk backwards like he can when we just do this. And I'm just gonna be nice and controlled here and walking to the mat. So I'd be here, I'd walk him here, I'd shoot back in as I step, my left hand pummels, I square my feet, connect my hands. If I'm here and I try to pull him in, he can throw your butt back. Like that. I want to come low so I can pull his hips in towards my hips. I drive forward with my chest, my feet come wider, and I just walk over the top of them like that until I get another man. This is why this is a good one for self-defense. If I wanted, I could punch him, I could start to snap on him, or I could just run away. One more time. I'll just show the finish, and then I'll show the full seven. I'm here, I'll bring my head back to the side so I can tap him away. I connect my hands nice and low by the hips. I'm pulling his hips in towards my hips, and I'm driving forward with my chest. Again, to get his hips forward and his shoulders going backwards. I walk my feet nice and wide. If his feet are already kind of wide, I might have to take a couple of steps. So I step, I walk, and I walk over the top. If I can, especially in a self-defense situation, drop the guy on his head wherever you care. In a drilling situation, try and be semi-controlled of your opponent. And if it was jiu-jitsu, I could immediately bring my knees to the mat, and now I'm in a strong mat position. Shoulder full setup. So I'd be moving around here like this, or hand fighting like this. I'm trying to keep my inside position. I've got my good posture and position. I go left hand collar tie, right hand to the wrist. I circle him towards my wrist grip, and I step in and punch a strong underhook. My left hand pummels, I step inside, chest to chest. Connect the cable, come low, pull his hips to my hips, and drive forward with my chin and my chest. Now I walk my feet wide and control him to the mat. Self-defense, I can punch him, I can kick him, I can run away. But it's jiu-jitsu, I can bring my knees to the mat, and then I can start to control him. I can start to try and drive his hand to the mat and look for finishes, or all this other stuff that we'll learn eventually. So that'll be us for this first video, just so that there's not too much information all at once. And on this second video, we'll talk a little bit about coming around the back from that same position, lifting the guy, pulling the guy to the mat, and also we'll talk about actually shooting a takedown from that same kind of base position. So that'll be all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you at the next class or in the next video.